dive right into the imago theory, and imago literally means image of. So this is our unique image of what love looks like. Imago, image of, right? So, and what love looks like is we get into a relationship, a committed relationship. So that's the difference. When we're actually committed to be with someone, or that we stick around in a relationship, that's what we're going to talk with. The reason we do that is because we found someone who has both the positive and negative traits that brought us love and pain from our past. But it's unconscious. It's not like we actually go looking to heal those old wounds, but they do show up. Okay, so then what happens is we enter into what we call in imago the relationship spiral. And we've got a picture of that just behind Nikki.
So we have it here, but it's also on page 2 of your manual, should you need to have something that you can see without having to draw the entire circle for yourself.
Yeah, but you can, so this is the circle that we're seeing here. And it starts with romantic love. And romantic love is this most generous state of mind. This is when almost everything your partner does feels like a gift. They are perfect for us. We get a sense of losing ourselves, and it's literally happening in our brain as we really let go of our old identity, and we replace it with an intense focus on our partner. The magic of romantic love, it is basically this drug-fueled party in your brain. Scientifically speaking, your brain is flooded with dopamine, norepinephrine, and oxytocin. So you're high on love. And we know through fMRI scans that if we show pictures of your loved ones to a person on the fMRI scans, the reward center of the brains go off just like they do if you were high on cocaine. So it's super powerful. And this love intoxication, this is what makes you want to maybe stay up all night, talk. You have increased energy, libido, self-esteem, and enthusiasm. And you are seeing only the good. In fact, we know that the brain's pleasure centers are firing so rapidly that it actually makes it harder for nearby pain receptors or aversion centers to even fire. And if you think about that, we've probably all watched romantic movies and people falling in love in the middle of a war zone or something, right? So we know that when we fall in love, it makes us harder to be unhappy. But unfortunately, there's an expiry date. It runs out. So reality hits, or rather we move into what we call in imago the power struggle. And in the power struggle, we are suddenly shifted into wanting to know, what can you do for me? One of our teachers actually referred to this stage as the sweatpants stage of the relationships. Sweatpants stage. So we go from like making an effort to see, oh, we're going to see you tonight,
so
to suddenly like, here I am, do I need to clean my teeth before we say hello? It's that kind of thing. We've shifted. So this is when you realize that your partner is remarkably imperfect, and maybe even sometimes annoying. And it can last, the good news is, I'll back up, the romantic stage, that can last anywhere from like 2 weeks to 2 years.
Oh, we're still there.
So so then the party in your brain is over. I'm sorry. The dopamine dries up and cortisol, the stress hormone, takes center stage. You start noticing the differences, the annoyances. We've gone from, I love that you're so generous, to, why do you have to spend so much money? Or, being with you is so much fun, to, spare me another joke. Seriously, can you actually take things seriously? Right? There's a shift. And maybe you don't notice that tone of voice in the way that I do. So in the power struggle, the same neural pathways that were once associated with bliss now become associated with frustration, conflict, and stress. And the brain, an ever-efficient machine, strengthens these pathways, making it easier to fall into the same negative patterns. And you may not be there, but that's what happens, is we end up having the same arguments over and over again. Those same hurt feelings, the same, you don't understand me, please. And this is because in the romantic love stage and in the power stage, we're in symbiosis. We're thinking that our partner should know what we're thinking and should know what we need. And if they don't, we feel rejected. We fight. either silently storing up our hurts, or maybe it's the till death do us part arguments. But we know they're to blame for making us feel bad, and we're going to prove it. Yeah. So in Imago theory, this power struggle is actually necessary, and it's necessary for us to move from naive trust, right? Naive trust that love is enough, right? Unfortunately, it's not. Like, we need tools. So we move from this naive trust into what we call into a more conscious relationship, which we call real love. And we get there by uncovering what are those unconscious needs and wants that are unfinished business from our past. And it's a process that we can expect to happen throughout our relationship. So it's really important to know it's normal, right? It's normal to enter into conflict, and what that means is there's some unconscious need that we need to grow into, and we found the perfect partner to do it because it's the most difficult thing for them to offer for us. So the first step out of the power struggle is recommitment, recognizing a need for change and saying, I'm in. It's kind of what you said here, like, I'm in, I'm curious, I'm willing to figure out my part in whatever it is we're co-creating. Then it's doing the work. So in addition to being interested and curious, we've actually got to do it. So in addition to the daily I'm in, there are exercises and practices that are about doing the work. And that's really what the focus of this workshop is going to be. And at the heart of Imago is what we call intentional dialogue. And we're going to be teaching you that today. Awakening, maybe this will happen. Although I think that maybe we're a little bit earlier on in the cycle. Awakening is the awakening of hope and the expansion of our hearts. So we shift, maybe we feel some excitement, and we arrive at real love, which is this more deeply connected, more solid love. Less intoxicating than romantic love, because this love is conscious. We're actually in our own minds, like we're in our brains. It's intentional, and we're really fully aware that we're different people and we want different things. And we can still connect deeply with joy, passion, and excitement. So even in real love, we might bump up against each other's differences and sensibilities. It doesn't threaten us in the same way as it did in the power struggle. We stay curious, compassionate, and we choose connection. We choose to do the work so we can awaken to real love. Right, are you still with me? Okay. Yeah. So importantly to remember is romantic love happens to you. The power struggle happens to you. They're both unconscious demands to resolve unmet needs. So our unconscious is seeking out someone, and it's like, that's the one. And we think we know because we recognize all the positive traits. But then what happens is the behavior shifts, and it's an unconscious need that we need to move into. And recommitment, awakening, and real love is a decision you make. So that's consciously choosing to love and to do the work. So now I'm going to tell you about intentional dialogue, and this is covered on page 3 in your book. And this really is a fundamental tool in Imago. We think of it as maybe this is an old reference, so let's see how it lands. The Swiss Army knife of Imago. Yeah? Okay, great. We still use Swiss Army knives. Super versatile and essential. I didn't know if I was a little old. Okay, so at the heart of Imago lies the fundamental belief that a thriving relationship is built on safety and connection. When we feel safe with our partner, emotionally, psychologically, and physically, we can relax, open up, and truly be ourselves. And an essential tool for helping us to do this is to speak to each other in a new way using intentional dialogue. A few things happen when we use the dialogue, but the 3 most important things are: first, we get really clear about what we want to say. 2, we listen with focused attention. So we're listening with curiosity, with love. We're listening. Focused attention. And 3rd, we check for understanding. And that simple structure has a powerful way to enhance our connection and safety. So why is this important to learn a new way to talk? Well, most of us have conversations in monologue. One person speaks, and then the other person speaks. But But the whole time each person is speaking, the other person is thinking about what they're going to say in response. So we think we're in connection, but we're busy thinking about our own experiences, and in that self-focus, we're not nearly as present as if we're really just listening. Also, many of us have bad conversational habits that can leave our partner feeling disconnected. And these are things we learned, right? We learned growing up. Like maybe it was a busy household. If you didn't interrupt, then no one was going to hear what you were saying, right? Or maybe it wasn't safe to talk, so you just learned to be quiet because there were some big talkers in your family, and that wasn't a role that you could take on. So it's not blaming or shame, but we developed a way of being in conversation that we learned, right, from our childhood. And so this slows things down. It gives us structure, and it helps us to really hear what our partner's saying and attune to them, which you spoke a little bit about, right? That attunement, sensing that you know that there's something going on. And this gives us another step here to actually find out what that is. So the first part of intentional dialogue we're going to learn about is mirroring. And that's the art, it really is an art, of accurately reflecting back what your partner has just said, without adding helpful interpretations or judgments. So it sounds different when we mirror and we really offer back to the person exactly or more, close to what they said, as opposed to reframing it into a way that we think sounds a little better, like I think you meant to say, but we're just mirroring. When we mirror our partner, we give them our full attention, and they get the experience of being fully seen and heard, which most of us don't get to feel that. If we drop down, that being fully seen and heard, that's a gift. Really, can feel very special. I'm going to say, imagine, if you will, have you ever picked up a baby and noticed when that baby smiles and you smile? And it's just, that's mirroring, right? That's mirroring someone into existence, but how you feel that joyfulness when you see the awareness, like full, remarkable awareness and joy in that baby's eyes when they smile at you and you smile at them. So this is, you're mirroring someone into existence, and it's these mirror neurons that we're actually activating when we enter into dialogue and do our intentional mirroring. I can say it's also can be a little relaxing because here's the thing: you don't have to come up with something really clever or stimulating in response, because your job is just to listen and mirror, right? So there's no pressure to respond, so it can take the pressure out of a conversation. So we're inviting the person who's talking to feel listened to feel like you're hearing them, and to feel that you're engaged and curious. So I thought we'd demo how mirroring works to shift a conversation. Is that okay? Okay. So Nikki, would you be willing to have this is a pretty real scenario from the world of Louise and Mike. And just a heads up, you're going to get a lot of information about us in this workshop. Bless you. So, we'll demo a pretty real conversation that went down. First time without mirroring, and then we'll show you how it works. Okay. So I'm going to be me, okay? And Nikki, would you be Mike?
Of course.
All right. Have you got your line?
I think so.
Okay. Mike, I felt really hurt when you didn't call me back last night.
That's not fair, Lou. I told you I had a meeting in the morning and that I really just needed my sleep.
Okay. So how do you imagine I feel if, in that conversation? How do you imagine we both feel in that conversation? Louise is feeling like
Dismissed.
Yeah, dismissed.
And how's Mike feel?
And Mike, how's Mike feeling?
Misunderstood. He was tired.
Yeah, like he'd already said he had a big meeting in the morning, and So so neither felt good. So now we'll do mirroring. Just listen to the magic. All right, Mike, I felt really hurt when you didn't call me back last night.
So I hear you really felt hurt when I didn't call you back.
Yeah,
Is there more?
yeah, I miss you. And with this time difference, it's really hard, and the evenings are really kind of lonely.
So the time difference is really hard and you're lonely and you're missing me.
Yeah, you got it. So-
see the difference?
Yeah, how do you imagine they feel in that reaction, in that interaction?
I was
Validated.
Yeah. Yeah, because you felt good, and at the same time, you didn't have to say, Mike didn't have to say, well, hold on, it was he just needed to acknowledge what you were feeling, and he was there for you.
Yeah.
Very safe as well.
Yeah.
You just feel very, it's okay, someone's at least attempting to understand where I'm at.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there's no blaming, there's no shaming, right? In the first reaction, immediately it was defensive, right? So what
Mhm.
Mike heard was a criticism,
Mhm.
right? And he went straight to, I've done something wrong. And so he's defending against that and proving why he hadn't done anything wrong at all because, he had this meeting. But by acting in that defensive way, he missed out on hearing what was actually really quite sweet, was that I missed him. Yeah. So that's the power of the dialogue, and that's how you learn to do it in everyday life, right? Because you take a pause and remember that it's not about you. But we can get triggered, right? It can be that if you're not in a good place and someone says, I'm really hurt, I'm really hurt you didn't call me back. Like, if we go to that place of I'm wrong, then we defend. But if we go to that place of curiosity and like, okay, what's going on here? Take a breath, pause, and mirror back. We get this opportunity to go so much deeper and find the sweet. So it shows your partner you're actively listening and trying to understand. It creates safety and validation, both words that you used. It slows the conversation down, which is what helps prevent reactive behaviors. That other way we were speaking, that could have spiraled pretty quickly. So, I want you to, you're going to be the sender, Mark? Okay, you're sending. So, Mark, I want you just to think about a minor frustration that you have. No, with Victoria.
Sorry, it's probably dumb question.
So,
The price of eggs.
So yeah, just think of some little frustration, and I'd really like it if you keep it to something that is just slightly irritating, rather than like full blown a big thing. But just for the demonstration, we'll stick to something that is just maybe slightly annoying, a minor frustration that you might have.
Cool.
Okay.
Got it.
I can think of things like, you've got it?
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. All right.
Oh, no, that was
So
too
now
quick.
that you've got that, I'm just going to ask you both to assume the position. So make sure you're comfortable. Does this space feel good between you? Feel like good distance?
Yeah,
Do you
I
want
just
to
wish
get
my feet
closer?
were on the ground. I feel too short for this chair.
Okay, and then just softly, just look at each other first. Just notice this person that's sitting in front of you. Yeah, warm eyes, soft faces, maybe soften your shoulders. Yeah, place your seat, kind of make yourself feel comfortable in the chair. And just notice. And now just close your eyes for a moment and notice what it feels like to still be in the presence of this person who's curious enough to be here to do this work with you. Notice what it feels like, even with your eyes closed, to be aware of their focused attention on you. Okay, and then softly open your eyes again. I'm going to invite you to take 3 breaths together. So inhaling and exhale. And 2 more. One more. Alright. Okay, and I'm going to ask you to send in short sentences, just so that Victoria has a chance to mirror back. And Victoria, if more information is coming at you than you can cope with, I'm going to ask you to
pause.
Yeah, you're going to pause. Does that feel okay to you? Hand on your knee? Okay, perfect. And please do pause, okay? Because Mark can keep going. He'll get a chance. You're not stopping him, you're just pressing pause so that you can fully mirror back. All right. So first thing you're going to say is, what have we got? I would like to have a conversation about my reaction. are you available?
I'd like to have a conversation about my reaction. Are you available?
Yes.
Great. I notice I have a reaction when.
I notice I have a reaction when we go out and everything's fine, and then all of a sudden everything's kind of less energetic,
And I'd like to explore my reaction.
and I'd like to explore my reaction.
And we're just checking in, okay? Is that okay? Yeah, okay. So I heard you say,
I heard you say that you're noticing you have a reaction when we're out and the energy level shifts, and you'd like to explore that. Have I got you?
Yes.
great. So we might want to just say, is there more about that?
Is there more?
Yes. I will think that everything is going well. We had a nice time out, and then all of a sudden, when I speak to you, it gets I get a lot less.
I'm noticing that you're expressing that we've had a positive interaction up until a certain point, and then my energy level shifts, and it makes you question whether something has changed. Have I got you?
Yes.
Is there more?
You're doing great. Great. Yes, just take a breath. When this happens, so when that happens, I behave by.
When that happens, I behave by matching your energy. So I will also bring my energy levels down to meet you.
Yeah, you're doing great.
I'm noticing that you're saying when my energy level shifts and moves down, you're compensating by matching that as a reaction.
Yes.
Have I got you?
Yes.
Is there more?
Yes.
About your behavior. So is there more about your behavior?
I also noticed that when I match your energy, my mood kind of shifts, and I might take it even a little bit further and be a little bit snappy with you.
I see.
I
I
heard you.
heard you say, I heard you say that when that energy level shifts and your level comes down, you have a reaction and you behave by becoming snappier towards me. Have I got you?
Yes.
Is there more?
No.
What I'm afraid of is.
What I'm afraid of is that affecting the rest of the time we're together and making it a negative interaction instead of building upon the positive that we had before.
What I'm hearing is you begin to worry that the rest of the night will be affected by whatever interaction has lowered our energy levels, and you'd rather keep us in the positive interaction. Is that right? Or
Yes.
have I got you?
Mm-hmm.
Is there more?
No.
What hurts me about this is.
What hurts me about this is it will confuse me, and I won't know how to act with you the rest of the day, especially after the energy shifts, and I wouldn't know how to bring it back.
I heard you say.
I heard you say that it makes you question how you should engage with me for the rest of the time we spend together, and you are worried, you feel a bit unsure about how you should act so that we don't make this a totally negative interaction. Have I got you?
Yes.
Is there more?
No.
What those feelings, those hurt feelings, what those feelings remind me of from childhood, those hurt feelings of uncertainty and fear that I'm not going to be able to right this situation, what those feelings remind me of from childhood take a moment and think about if there's a specific moment or event that it might take you to.
What this event reminds me of from my childhood,
No, you're doing good. Yeah.
would be after me and my father would get into a fight, whether it be something I did or something that he perceived that I did. I wouldn't be able to interact with him for the rest of the day, even into the next day, because of that awkward tension. And it kind of reminds me of this because I don't want that to happen with us.
I heard you say that it reminds you of fights you'd have with your father that would extend past just a moment and into the following day, and you worry that whatever interaction we may have just had will extend and keep going and will stay in this negative energy space. Have I got you?
Yes.
Is there more?
Yes. I feel that that is part of the reason why me and my father aren't as close as we can be, and I wouldn't want that to impact our relationship and how close we act with each other.
I heard you say that those fights that would extend have affected your relationship with your father even now, and that you worry and that you feel a bit like you notice that these situations are kind of parallel, and you worry that this interaction could continue and that we will continue to have this negative relationship in the same way that you feel with your father. Have I got you?
Yes.
Is there more?
Today, what I need from you is, what is a need that you might have? Today, what I need from you is.
Today, what I need from you is more communication about why you're feeling, why your mood shifted, so that I can adjust what I do to maybe try to alleviate some of the stress you may have felt from something I did.
I heard you say that when my energy shifts, you'd like me to be a bit more forthcoming with maybe why, so that you understand that it's not what maybe has caused this, whether it's an energy, maybe I'm tired or whatever, or if there's been some interaction that's led to the shift in my energy level. Have I got you?
Yes.
Is there more?
Just check in. Yeah, that feels good?
Mm.
Yeah? Okay. So,
Oh.
I'm gonna ask if you would do a summary. So, mirror summary. You
Okay.
don't have to get absolutely everything. It's a highlight.
Okay.
So, in summary, I heard you say.
In summary, I heard you say that sometimes when we go out, the mood will shift and you'll feel a bit unsure as to why. And it will remind you of situations with your father that where you would fight and you wouldn't talk, and it would keep going and extend into the next day. And when the energy shifts and I'm no longer talking to you, you wonder, or you feel a bit unsure and maybe insecure about where we stand with each other, and worry that the rest of the time we spend together will be ruined, and worry that this will extend into other situations that we have together, and that you'd like me to be a bit more forthcoming and communicative of how I'm feeling and why I'm reacting in the way that I'm reacting, so that you're not analyzing, you're not trying to read my mind. Have I got you?
Yes.
Does that feel like a pretty good summary?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So now you're gonna say, I have heard everything you said, and your perspective matters to me. Or you make sense, and what makes sense is.
Oh, these choices.
Yeah, one is done, the other you're gonna have to think about.
Well, you know what? You make sense. And what was it?
Yeah, and what makes sense is.
And what makes sense is, it's impossible to read my mind, and it makes sense that when comparing how I'm reacting, you might notice that you've seen this before, and it makes sense that you might not want to have to read my mind when we're going on a date.
And then I imagine that when this happens, you might feel.
I imagine when this happens, you might feel a bit unsure, insecure, maybe a bit, I don't know, unstable. Like we're not at the same level anymore, and you don't know why. You don't know how to fix it. I got you.
I'm just checking. Is that how you feel?
Is that how you feel?
For the most part, yes.
Yeah. So this is it. You can say yes, I feel, and you can mirror back the feelings that Victoria mentioned, and then you can say, well, no, I don't feel, but I do feel. So just checking. So.
How do I summarize this?
Well, so just mirror back the feelings that you do feel that Victoria had said. So yes, I feel, and any of the feelings that she mentioned.
Yes, I feel that when the energy levels shift, I do feel a little uneven with our standing, and I feel unsure of, what's going on. And I'd like to add another one to the list. It sometimes makes me feel a little underappreciated because, although I enjoy doing this and I want to do this and I don't expect anything from you in return, I'd drive to your house, I'd pick you up,
We're gonna stick to the feelings.
Feelings.
True. Okay, you're right.
Just how you feel.
I feel a little underappreciated.
Okay. So you would just mirror that you also feel underappreciated.
You also feel underappreciated.
And just checking,
Is that right? Is that how you feel?
yeah, so just sit with that. Okay, and then you would say, thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for letting me know you better.
Thank you for letting me know you better.
And just pause, and then you're gonna get up and have a hug. Okay? And hold on to that hug.
These chairs do feel so far away until you stand up. And then you're so close.
Don't sit back in the chairs, they're not there anymore. Okay, come join me up here. Oh, no, you want to
For our panel.
Right.
Yeah, because we want to say thank you.
Oh,
for
thank you.
doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, are you ready? Okay, so I'm gonna ask you both. Mark, what was it like to be the sender?
It was
What it
nice.
like for you?
It made me feel kind of in a position where it was okay for me to express, my opinion about something small that may have happened, but it still it allows me to clear the air for any future, any future instances where this type of thing would happen again. I know that she has a better understanding of how I feel, and it kind of puts me at ease knowing that she, will hopefully will kind of give me the the resolve or the resolution almost. I don't know how to phrase that exactly, but she'll listen to what I
She
say.
being Victoria?
Yeah. Victoria.
I hope.
So, you said it was nice?
Yes.
Yeah, and that in some ways it helped, I think you said relief.
Yes.
to
That's the
experience
word I was
that.
looking for.
Okay. And also gives you a sense that you're allowing Victoria to see you more, and so that there's this opportunity that maybe it will resolve this behavior that you kind of go into this reaction of matching her energy and then withdrawing in. Does that feel like I got you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Victoria, how was it for you to be the receiver?
I was a fan. I think I work well within structure. So, in a family where we all talk over each other because there's so many of us, having a very concrete, you're going to say something and I'm going to say gonna try and rephrase that, and you're gonna tell me whether or not I understood you. I think that was quite nice. Sometimes I think I've said a couple of times, in the past, like, do you know why I'm upset? And can you tell me why I'm upset? And seeing it kind of written down in a way that's not maybe as combative as what I just said. Why am I upset? Why do you think I'm upset? I think it was.
So there's some safety in the structure that you
Yes.
said. So actually, I'm a fan of the dialogue. I can see there's safety in the structure.
Yeah.
And this idea that, why, don't you know why I'm upset? And now you're saying that if you go through the structure, it feels
Calm.
and especially growing up in a family or being in a family when there's a lot of people with a lot of opinions, that it feels good to you to have this structure.
Yeah.
Did I get that?
You did.
Okay, so now group, would you like to give an appreciation?
Muchas gracias.
And we do it in the same format. So what I appreciate is either directed at Mark or Victoria, or them as a couple, or what I could connect to from my own life is.
So I appreciate Victoria's comment right now at the end, because how many times I have thought that in my mind. Don't you know why?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you know this?
Seriously.
And something happens a lot to us as women, and I'm glad that your little dynamic helped you to go, hold on. Why am I expecting him to read my mind? So I really appreciate your share that I'm your vulnerable wall. And
So I'm going to
connected
mirror
with
you first, though. Yeah. So you really appreciated Victoria's comment because this is something that you really deeply experience, and we do go through that a lot. You feel that as women, the sense of why don't you should know. So you connected with that, and also you appreciated that Victoria saying that but I got this insight through the dialogue. Did I get that?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, and you had another appreciation, or are you gonna?
I was just going to tell Mark that I felt so, I appreciated that you were so eloquently share what you felt without blaming, without making it sound negative. I just really thought it was very thoughtful that we were able to have the conversation without triggering more in her. And I'm just hoping I can learn to do that.
Would you like to mirror that back? Do you think you could mirror?
Yeah. I heard you say that you appreciate that I chose my words, or I chose my words, kind of, for lack of better terms, smart in the sense, so that I don't trigger any feelings of blame or antagonizing, keeping it just strictly to what I was feeling, based on a situation, and kind of giving my side instead of saying, "Oh yeah, you did this, so you're the bad guy." Did I get that?
Yeah, you did.
He's so thoughtful.
Sorry, I didn't have you there. Yes.
Yes, well, I mean, what I really appreciated was being able to just see what could, be something that usually I would expect to lead to like a back and forth argument, to just manifest itself in a way that was very, healthy is the word that comes to mind. A dialogue where you were able to really share how you were feeling, and you were able to really listen. And then that's just, and I think what I connect to in my life, I was just talking to Julia during the hour-long break, I was like, yeah, sometimes my parents are like, well, arguing is just a part of a relationship. And I think disagreement is, and for sure, but I don't know if it needs to go into a full-blown argument. you know, and that it's just really nice to see that play out. I mean, you can read about it, but then seeing it like actually happen, it's not something that I feel has been modeled for me a lot of the time. So it's I mean, in our relationship, yes, but even like in the world, you know, the way that people talk to each other. So that was really cool. You guys did an amazing job. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you can mirror that part at least, that you did an amazing job.
Oh, you did. That's the gist
I
of it.
heard
The
you
gist
say
is-
we were wonderful.
The gist is that you did an amazing job.
Yeah. So, yeah, we were just congratulating them on that demonstration and how that they did an amazing job of really listening and speaking. And what it brought up for you is just how we don't see that modeled in life, not in your personal experience, but really pretty much in life. We don't see people modeling how to be in conflict, right? To have a dispute that doesn't then end up in a fight, right? Doesn't end up in a
Doesn't make for good TV.
That's what I was thinking.
I'd watch a dating show like that. You know, that'd be good.
Oh,
Honestly.
imagine. Like couples
Right.
therapy
Yeah.
show, right?
Yeah.
I have a I appreciated that you both. Well, I guess you, Mark, had initiated, but like shows this situation that it's like really real. Like I've been there. Like we've been there in like a similar way of like you know you set out to do something and then worry that it's gonna like some kind of like negative reaction or like negative energy kind of affects the rest of your day, and like we've talked about that like so many times. So it's nice to hear that it's not just us. You know, but
So
like
I'm gonna mirror that, yeah.
Yeah.
And the word that comes is there's a song. I think in song a lot. So, but first I'll mirror that you really connected from your personal life. That okay, we do this too,
Yeah.
right? This is
Yeah.
this is our story. Like who stuck this?
yeah.
So that was a connection that you made. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, and it's hard too. So kudos to you too for getting up there. We haven't done it yet, but like sharing about something that's not like when we were reading this, we were trying to decide who was gonna go. I looked at her and I'm like, you put your shoes in front of the door. So then for you guys to get up there and say like, you know, what you did was nice because it was like a real situation, and I guess my go-to was like a joke almost, but yeah. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. So I really appreciate the realness.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
bringing something that you could super relate to, and it wasn't just kind of trying to get through the demo. But
Yeah.
I get that.
Yes.
All right. So this is your turn to do this. The most, I think that what's really interesting is you're exploring your reactivity, right? And that's what Mark did. You know, he explored my reactivity. Sure, Victoria was the prompt, but his reactivity was that I then I immediately drop my energy and then I get snippy, you know. And so it's like I'm owning that I have a reaction to something that you do. And what my reaction reminds me of is, and that's where it took him to. So it's that sense that we're exploring our experience of the conflict. Does that,
Yeah.
was that helpful? I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, fiddlesticks, I need to tell you how much time. But you absolutely hide that part of you from anyone else. So it's the parts, the character traits that we have that we don't want anyone else to see, but we do know that they're there. So we're not hiding, we're not denying them, we're just hiding them. So we might play them out secretly when no one else can, see us. But it's something we just do not, we keep really hidden from the world. We don't want them to see. Or this, maybe you have a belief. So a lot of people, if they've experienced trauma, have a belief that they are a bad person, right? Because something happened to them when they were really little as a child. And as a child, we make sense of the world that, if something good happens, it's because I'm good. If something bad happens, it's because I'm bad. It's a very immature understanding of the world. But that can happen a lot in trauma, is that we think that there's something truly rotten and bad about us. And so we hide that part. But there's a belief in it. So it's an aspect of ourselves that we believe is there, but we actually hide it and don't want anyone else to see. Does that make sense? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So these lost parts, you can be sometimes aware or not aware of it, or?
So some of the lost parts we're aware of,
Mm.
right? So the hidden part, they're lost to us because we don't claim access to those traits, right? But so the hidden one we're aware of, but we don't own it. Does that where am I going? Going back up. The disowned self are things that we see in others but we don't own.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then the denied are again things we see in others, and we deny that we even have that for ourselves. So for me, it might be anger too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an angry, because anger was so scary. So I deny that, that I'm an angry person. But actually, we all have anger, right? And actually having access to anger is normal. It's a good, there are positive things in anger too. But the things that we got most hurt by, we tend to associate purely with the negative part of that. But we can go through negative traits, and it's a really good thing to find, well, what's the positive in that? Because then if we can recognize that there is a positive part of that, then we have ability to not only shame and blame and criticize our partner for having those traits, we can start to own them for ourselves, but for the positive aspect.
So one example of this is if you have a reactivity and there's a lot of anger that erupts, right? And that may have served you when you were a child to survive, right? To show up bigger or to show up with something so that you're noticed, right? And so there was a reason for it being there. So it's positive, the fact that it served you so much purpose, or when you get anxious, it serves you so much purpose to be aware of everything that's happening around you, right? And so it's not necessarily negative, it's just been there for so long, and you have to figure out if it serves you now in adulthood or not. But we need to understand why it's there in our partner and what it served them. So it's not necessarily negative, we want to find the positive, I think that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. But for right now, I think it would be really fun to explore some of these messages together because we all received them. And first I'd like to explore some of the positive and enlivening messages. Do we have our people that we received? Because, I think sometimes it can feel when we do this work that all we're doing is dredging up what was the negative. But you wouldn't be functioning adults here if you didn't receive some of these beautifully positive, enlivening messages. So can we think of some of the, just shout out, what are some of the positive messages you received? And this can be from anybody. We might have received a different message from someone close to us, but somebody in our life told us, you're really special. Or, so what are some positive messages that you received? And just shout them out.
You're funny.
You're funny. Yeah.
You're
So that would
warm.
go on there as a positive, yeah.
You're a good dancer.
You're a good dancer, yeah. You're kind.
Positive. You're a positive person. You're
You're-
very upbeat.
So you're a positive person and you're upbeat.
You're so smart.
You're so smart. So what it's important is what we also tend to notice, these messages meant so much to us because they were so intrinsic to our survival, and they become then what we value most. So that's
Another
why
big one I think for younger people to hear growing up is, you're beautiful.
you're beautiful.
Or you're
yeah.
good.
You're attractive.
And you're good.
Objectively good.
Yeah. We love the way you look,
Yes.
right? We
There's a
love
lot
the
of
way we look.
self-esteem issues there with that.
And we welcome you just as you are, right?
Exactly.
Yeah? Okay. So, now let's think about what were some of the repressive messages that you received? And you notice I'm doing that even. Oh, it hurts, right? It's painful. There's a body response, even saying that. What was some of the repressive socialization messages? So these are the messages. We talk about this idea of full aliveness, joy. This is what this work is about, is getting back to feeling fully alive, joyful, and in connection in our relationship. What were some of the messages that you received as an individual that began to dim your light, that made you feel that parts of you maybe weren't okay, or that you needed to conform in some way. So what were some of the messages that you might have received? That
Be quiet.
Sorry?
Be quiet.
Be quiet. Yeah.
You're too sensitive.
You're too sensitive. Yeah. Don't cry. You know, you cry too much. Especially, you know, boys hear that a lot if we're thinking about the gender differences. Don't be angry. You know, quiet. You're too big. Don't be so emotional.
Calm down.
Calm down.
You're weird.
You're weird. Yeah. Why can't you be normal? Yeah. Yeah. So I want you to think about what these, you know, what were these messages that you received? Be a good girl. Don't make a fuss. You know,
You're
do
too
as
loud.
you're
You're too loud.
You're too loud. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be silly. Of course you're not hungry. Did anyone get told that they were cold, or that they were hungry, or that they weren't tired? You know, or that they were tired? You know, you get told that you don't know what your body means and needs right now. You know. Anything else? Okay. So why relax into the support that's beneath you, but this intention of being alert and awake. So soft eyes. And then we're just going to take this time to work on the 3 qualities of compassion. And those are the qualities of stability, spaciousness, and warmth. So just closing your eyes and just going within. And just noticing first your breath. So breathing in and breathing out. Not trying to change it or make it any different to what it is, but just noticing your breath. Noticing the pace of your breath. Is it fast or slow? Deep or shallow? Is it coming with ease? Or is there some labor in your breath this morning? Just noticing. Now the first quality of compassion we're going to work on is stability. As you're breathing with your eyes closed, notice the stability that you can contact by feeling the support of the chair, the cushion, the beanbag that you're sitting on. Notice the stability of your spine and hips. Maybe you can even imagine that your spine is a source of stability that is in contact with the earth, rooting and grounding you here. Stability is the quality of compassion that when confronted with suffering does not move but stays put, does not turn away, and stays rooted. It's that quality arises when we notice other people feeling anxiety or stress around us, and we become more present, more stable. The second quality of compassion that we can contact through the body is spaciousness. You can feel spaciousness on your inhale as you breathe in and feel the body expand. We can also feel spaciousness by sensing into the space around us. The space in the room, becoming aware of the space of our home, becoming aware of the space in our neighborhood, town, state, expanding out to the country, the continent, and the whole world. So connecting and sensing into space. So starting with that inhale, you can contact spaciousness and feel space in the body as it expands out to include the space around us and beyond. Spaciousness is the quality of compassion that is accepting and non-judgmental. In this spacious quality, any experience is okay. Negative emotions, positive emotions, difficult interactions, easy interactions. All are okay. So spaciousness is that quality of compassion. It has plenty of room and non-judgmental space to hold any experience. The third quality of compassion we can feel through the body is warmth. This is the quality of compassion that is nurturing, like getting a hug from someone that you care about, or the feeling of warm connection you feel when you have a really good conversation or a good laugh with someone. And we can feel warmth in the body just by noticing the temperature on our skin, the warmth of our clothing, and the temperature of the air. You can also tap into warmth by just noticing our heartbeat, the heart working hard to pump blood through our system. And the heart is also a symbol for love and compassion and caring. So just allow yourself to appreciate this quality of warmth in the body through the temperature of the room and through your heartbeat. So once again, the three qualities of compassion we can feel through the body are stability that we can feel through the spine, feeling our connection to the earth through our feet. This quality is really helpful to bring up when we're feeling thrown off balance by something that we see on the news, maybe an argument or interaction that we have. The second quality is spaciousness that we can feel through the inhale, creating space and expansion in the body. And this quality can be helpful to bring balance back when we're feeling irritated or stressed or uncertain. We can bring in a spacious quality that holds all of that. And the third quality is warmth that you can bring in when we're feeling lonely or disconnected from others or misunderstood. This quality of warmth we can feel through the temperature of the air on our skin and through the heartbeat, allowing us to receive nurturing and caring through this quality of warmth. So breathing in and noticing in the body stability, spaciousness, and warmth. And we'll conclude this practice by taking another conscious, deep breath in and out. And when you're ready, opening your eyes. And thank you so much.